Hey everybody, welcome to Dialog Choices podcast. What's your favorite dog breed?
Ooh,
German Shepherd.
husky. I said it. No way.
What is that? Wait, what?
Are you not
I
certain?
can't believe I said. No, I
You can't
wasn't.
believe
It was
you
like
said husky?
I can't believe I said husky, but it is.
I mean, I live with the
didn't
husky.
know.
They're a lot.
Yeah,
They are a lot,
They're a lot.
and they're not the smartest dogs. They're very empathetic sometimes, but not.
They are not the smartest dogs.
They are definitely not.
I would say
No,
most big
they
dogs
are-
are not the smartest dogs. It's usually like that comes with the package.
Birch is a snuggler. He just wants contact at all times. But
I
also,
like
they can
those.
scream. And they just like to scream.
What a
just in
what a,
general.
Yes.
what a biological success story there.
Well,
they're
it's like that fucking
they're
like when you
closest
look
to
up the
wolves.
cleric beast husky like meme video on YouTube. They just put the Bloodborne music and health bar on the screen, and it's just a screaming husky, and it's too perfect 'cause it just sounds like an actual Bloodborne boss. Yeah,
Mhm.
I was gonna say German Shepherd, and now I'm all self-conscious about it. I'm not original.
Well,
Okay.
German shepherds are just they emote very well. They're very smart and they're easy to clean. That's all you
German
need in a
Shepherds.
dog.
They're easy
They're
to
like the
clean.
perfect. Yeah, they're the perfect package. They're
Yeah.
short hair generally. They're very intelligent dogs, but also they can be super emotional and empathetic and
Yeah.
expressive. And that's like all you want in a dog is you want basically like a human that doesn't suck. And
It
that's
is like all the
that's
perfect
exactly what a German Shepherd
characteristics is like a large dog that's friendly and has short hair.
Yeah.
That's
And
why
I
pit
also
bulls are so
prefer
good as
not
well.
having like just really strange breeding choices, like being hyper jowly and having your drool just kind of
Yeah.
coming out of your face
That's the problem
at
with
all
pit bulls.
times. And
Yeah.
pit bulls aren't really as much that, but there's a lot of stuff that's way like the
They're not?
what's
What?
All
that
the pit bulls I know
What's
are
that
super
big
drooly.
shaggy brown dog that has like, it's usually if you draw it, you usually draw it without eyes because it's so wrinkly, but it's got like
You talking
big,
about a Saint Bernard?
yeah, like big long
No.
ears. And
No, you're
Talking about-
thinking
you're
of
talking about the
the
Beethoven dog?
saggy face and like super
saggy
jowly with
skin.
drool, and you're like,
Yeah,
ugh.
that's a Saint Bernard.
Yeah, and there's others
No,
too.
no.
But,
The saggy skin dog.
well,
is
there's
a,
a few
is a-
options, but there's some
It's-
variations where I'm like, what did we do to wolves?
I mean, it's less about what we did to them and what they needed to do to adapt for us.
Yeah,
Like a Saint Bernard exists to fulfill a role that like a wolf could never do.
Mhm.
But
God, I
but something like a
spent
Chihuahua fills
all
no
day
role.
yesterday writing about this.
About dogs.
Yes, it's a coincidence. I was just like, yeah, fuck it, I'm just gonna jump straight into viewer questions the moment we start. That's the only way we'll get any of them done, because otherwise it's an endless
Let's do
snake
it.
of topics. So I just asked the question that was in the email immediately. But no,
Mhm. Oh wait, you tricked us. You Keith,
what?
Andrew, Keith tricked us into a question.
Yeah, it's a viewer.
That's fine.
That's a viewer question.
We should
I thought
probably do them someday. Like,
Yeah,
I thought he was
it's-
doing like I do sometimes when I say some things right at the
No.
beginning.
This is a particular email I've been avoiding because it has 18 questions in it, and that is just a lot to deal with. And then it's like, if I start it, will I remember which parts I did, or like, it's just a.
You
You
it's
should
just this
probably
whole
have
fucking
like
thing.
you should probably have like a Word document with all the questions you receive, and then like strike them out as you've gone through them, so that way you can like kind of contain the list. Like once you get the email, put it into the sheet, archive the email, get the hell out of there, and then just go through the sheet as you go through it. But the nice thing about German Shepherds too is that all body armor for dogs is made for German Shepherds. So that's
Oh,
a benefit.
body armor for dogs.
That's true.
Yep.
The breed that you were thinking of, Keith, is a Chinese Shar-Pei. I believe that's
What?
how it's pronounced. Yeah. Shar-Pei with an SH and then P-E-I.
Chinese Shar-Pei.
Oh, you think of like
Oh,
the overly
those guys-
wrinkled dog?
Oh no, those guys are
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot. Oh wow, I really don't
They
like
are.
that. God, its
And they're
entire
also
body
very-
is wrinkles.
You could also be thinking of a mastiff. A mastiff also is kind of that way.
Can have that, yeah. Not all of them. There's some
there's
really pretty
like
mastiffs.
thousands of dogs.
Well, yeah,
I did a whole paper on them back in the day, and I've been utilizing that information again.
There's too many.
The domestication of dogs is just weird and interesting. Because they domesticated themselves at first, and that's the weirdest part.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think it was like
because it doesn't happen with other creatures.
Well, like I don't think a bear needs to domesticate itself. I think it's doing pretty fucking good for itself. Like
there are no domesticated bears.
I mean, a bear doesn't really have. Well, I mean, like you have to think too about what you're going to get out of it. Like, obviously, a prey animal like a rabbit, a deer, a fish isn't going to like gain any benefit from being friends with the things that eat them. But a dog eats the same things as humans do back in the day, theoretically. So like the idea that you could say like, hey, those guys are pretty fucking good with weapons and they're killing things like crazy. What if we just kind of like,
I mean, that's a much higher level of thought than would have ever been involved.
Well, it was mostly just that they have food. Like, I want food. Can we get food? And then the people are like, sure, I guess. Like,
well, it's not even the people necessarily giving them food. It's just that like people, like these nomadic tribes of humans would be going around with their like portable shelter and their like they'd be hunting and foraging and shit, and like a lot of that stuff could be eaten by dogs and by wolves because they're omnivores, and like that obviously like having game around would attract people, anything that could potentially eat that game, and just the ones that were less afraid of humans would take more risks in getting closer and either taking it from them or scavenging like leftovers and things like that. And since those wolves are in the proximity of humans because they're less afraid of them and they're benefiting from kind of keeping an eye on them, essentially, those wolves end up breeding with each other, which just leads to offspring that are even more like that until they end up semi-domesticating themselves. Then they get incorporated into our actual camps as alarm systems, basically, and that's why they bark so fucking much. And so don't get mad at dogs too much when they bark, because it's the only reason that they exist. Like, it was a beneficial thing, and it's burned in at this point.
I was gonna say, there's people who think it's a little old
specifically for that.
A little old to be I don't know, like what. I guess I'm thinking about like
it's not the kind of thing you get to take back out.
Yeah, well, you can, but it's not polite. I'm just thinking like biologically, what is does a Chihuahua actually benefit from barking? Like, is that something it gains an advantage over? Because
but that's the thing, though.
A Chihuahua wouldn't exist without the barking first.
I guess that's the thing.
People get Chihuahuas because they bark. Like I know,
no, it's not. It's not that's necessarily why people get Chihuahuas. It's that Chihuahuas would have never existed if it wasn't for barking.
But I think even to this day, I know 2 different households that have Chihuahua adjacent dogs because they're not pure breeds. They have Chihuahua adjacent dogs that they got them because they need a dog to bark if there's somebody in the house. They live in a sort of urban environment. They can't sustain a big dog. And so they just have, a friendly dog to have around that just barks really loud whenever somebody from outside the house shows up.
All the Chihuahuas I've ever met bark at everything. Friend, foe, ghosts, nothing. Ghosts. Like they are literally just nonstop bark machines.
I like how you said ghosts and nothing, as if those are 2 different things.
I mean, they are 2 different things. Sometimes you'll just be sitting there. Yeah, you'll just be sitting there and they'll just start barking. You're like, what are you barking at? And then there'll be times where they're like convinced that there's something in the house, like staring at a wall, barking at it. And you're like, there's nothing there. What the fuck are you doing? And so the only option is like a ghost. It has to be like a ghost standing there. And they're like, get that thing out of here. But
it is.
I remember having times of having to like open a door so the dogs just stop barking at the door because there's nothing there. Like you have to open the hard door so they can see through the screen door and just see nothing, and then they'll shut up.
Yep. Shadow will do that. He'll stare at like behind my recliner. He'll just stare at that, and sometimes he'll bark at behind the recliner. I'm like, there's literally nothing there. Like I don't know what the hell you're barking at. So it's like
he hears like
dogs
a
are weird.
pipe or something.
I don't know. It's like he could hear something from outside, but the way that it bounces off the walls in the house makes him think, oh, it's coming from this direct location. So he's just like, must be someone there or behind the wall or something or behind the comforter. Like, but those are the times I'm like, that's a ghost. You're just barking at ghosts, basically. Because you think there's something there, but there's not. But barking at nothing, Shadow does as well, which is he'll be under there and I'll hear him bark. And I've heard no sounds. I've heard nothing that indicates a person is like within 100-mile radius. And he'll just bark. I'm like, what are you barking at? Like the thought of barking is just something that came to you? Like you just woke up and were like, I gotta bark. Like, but
just having a reaction.
Yeah. They also bark when they're sleeping too. So like you can hear him like make half barks when he's having a nightmare.
Yeah.
I had a cat that barked. It was one of those cats.
That seems wrong.
It was one of those cats that are very vocal and would just meow all of the time. It's like incredibly loud and just, well, not incredibly loud, but really loud. And it was just all the time meowing, very vocal. And we just got fed up like after 3 or 4 months of that. And we started to train the cat not to do that. So basically we'd paid a lot of attention and gave it treats whenever it shut up. And then obviously it would start meowing again. And then we'd ignore it for the next half an hour while it was meowed away. And after, I think it took us probably more than a month of training, me and my sister specifically. And the cat would learn a different meow. It started doing it like a few months later, which was just like, and it was really weird because it was like a
like how your microphone didn't want anything to do with that. It was like, no.
Oh, you didn't catch it up? You didn't catch it? Yeah, it was basically it's just meowing really weird. And every once in a while it would do a with just the small little meows because the cat forgot how to meow and just would do that.
Are you sure it was a cat, not a gremlin?
Yeah. It was a gremlin, that's for sure, but it was also a cat.
Then you got the cats that just chirp, especially the ones that like they see a bird through like the sliding glass window in the backyard, and they'll just start chirping at it. In this very specific weird
I've always
way.
known cats to do that, and they catch. I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but they catch birds a lot when they do that to birds. I've seen cats just, I think it's called charming when they're charming the birds. That's what the name of that chirping. They see birds or something and just start. And then the birds would just be like, what is this sound that is coming from that fluffy creature down below? I shall fly into his jaw and then lunch his head.
And then murder.
And that's
The
how you
end.
don't get domesticated.
Cats are absolute killing machines, honestly.
Cats are a
that is
literal
what they
fucking
do.
plague on the environment. And if there's any kind of pet that needs to get erased, it's cats.
It's
Like,
cats,
they need to stop.
Well, not erased. They
existing.
just need to get them inside the house because
Well,
they
yeah,
eat snakes,
unless-
they eat
yeah.
toads, they eat hedgehogs, they eat birds, and all of those things are super important for the ecosystems around the houses. And that's that's why like you move to a place without people and you see all this life, wildlife, even if it's just insects or like rodents, like squirrels or whatever, and you just go to a place without people and you see that, but the more people start to live around, then they stop existing. Part of it is sound pollution and just the fact that people make noise and all that and pollute themselves, but the other part is also cats. Cats are just a plague. Yeah
They're not great. You have to keep them confined if you want cats. Otherwise you're just kind of like destroying your own environment for no reason.
Just bring in this invasive species.
Yeah. Like I live in an apartment complex and people just like let cats walk around, and it's really hard to be like, cool, this is a great idea. I can tell this is only going to go well. And then you see like dead birds all over the place and you're like, this is just such a good idea. I'm so excited for all of you to have brought this upon me. Like just keep your fucking cat inside. it's just cats are also like just like rabbits, where they're really prone to having way too many children because no one fucking spays and neuters them. So
Yep.
and they can bust out a bunch of kittens really fast and easily. So it's just they're a problem. They're
people
a huge...
have to deal with horrible screaming cat noises in their backyard in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
I don't know. You get a squirt bottle and you start squirting in the direction of the noise, and they will start running fast.
It's so bad.
It's annoying. And I get it. It's like I mean, cats are great. Cats are adorable little creatures, but you need to like they're like birds. You got to keep them in a fucking cage, because otherwise it's just pandemonium. Like, you need to just keep them in your house. Don't let them out. Let them just like think about the world that's outside that they will never get to touch. Like, that's what they need to live their lives like.
The thing with cats, though, is that they really don't need the outside world as long as people interact with them inside the house.
Well,
like,
that's why you get cats in pairs, because that way they have company.
Yeah, they just...
Like,
yeah, absolutely. They're definitely the kind of creature that does. I mean, they're evolved to be inside creatures, and like indoor creature, I should say. And like, even if you just have a single cat, all you have to do is just play with it for half an hour a day. It depends on the cat, but half an hour a day. I've never seen a cat that needs. My cats never get more than 10 minutes a day, and they're good. They're fine. Well, I only have the one now, but still. They sleep all the time. You just need to play them before they go to sleep, and after they have food, and you're fine to go. Or not after, but before, rather. I do it after, but that's why my cats then bark and do other weird things, because I don't interact with them properly.
Meanwhile, dogs are like extroverts that require human affection to even like facilitate life. If you're not petting them, they're gonna die eventually. Like,
and then they need to be walked. You need to clean up after them.
Walking's good, though. I think people benefit from walking a dog, at least healthy wise. But yeah, you have to like be active with this creature, and you have to do it like consistently, or else it just like withers and dies. And it's just like it's fine, but like you have to have the time to dedicate to it. Cats are pretty laid back creatures. You can just
gotta stay away that doggy dementia.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, Shadow's like almost 10 years old. I think he's like 9. Yeah, I think he's 9 years old. And
I'll just always remember the time that we were recording probably like Zero Escape or something, and you went off to go buy a pack of cigarettes, and the entire time you were gone, Shadow just sat on the top of the couch staring at the front door.
Yeah.
He wouldn't even like pivot to like, there's another human in the same room I could get attention from. It was just complete codependence of like, you're gone and I'm going to stare here the entire time. It's like the issue where a lot of people don't know how bad their dogs misbehave and when they're gone. Like there's like a lot of dogs that will like lose their shit the entire time you're at work and just start like screaming and barking and things in your apartment, and then you find out the hard way after your neighbors hate you.
Yeah, I mean, I had that so recently I've been trying to bring Shadow over to my girlfriend's place, so that way we can like integrate their cats with the dog. So that way I'm just not like leaving the dog, like I don't want to leave Shadow here for a weekend alone. And like it can sometimes be a pain in the ass that I have to like go to her place and come back to walk him and then go back to her place. And so we're trying to like integrate the cats with each other, and the cat and the dog with each other. And it's funny because like we have a little baby gate to separate him from the cat, so that way they're not just like head on interacting. And sometimes I'll go into I have to like go into the other side of the gate to go like get something out of the bedroom or get something in the office, and he'll just sit there like at the gate and wait. Like, even if I'm like, oh, I'm going to the bathroom, he'll just lay down at the gate and just wait there for me to come back. And it's just like, my girlfriend's just sitting on the couch. He could just go sit on the couch with another human being. But he's like, no, I want to wait until he comes back. Like, I won't do anything. And it's like, I don't know why he does that. I've never trained him to do that.
He's just, like, you're his whole world. He's obsessed with you.
Yeah.
And it's not even my dog. Like, it's
what
not
you don't know is that when you went
dog.
to Dubai for 6 months, he never interacted with another human being that entire time.
I
He just
I mean,
stared
he
at the
did,
wall
but
that he thought you were behind.
It's I think when I like the first time
shower.
what was it? I think the first time I went to
whatever the song is from from Seymour Butts.
yeah, the first time I went to Japan, I had to leave him with my grandparents, and they like told me like the first 2 days he would just sit at the door. So he would like go and eat food and stuff, but then he'd just come back and lay at the door and just wait until I came back.
Jesus.
And it sounds awful. Like I feel bad.
It's
I don't want
severe.
to, like yeah, but like, and again, I don't know where it came from because it's not like I give him affection, I give him attention.
Yeah.
I'm not like I'm not coddling him. Like right now, I am sitting at a computer and he is, I don't even know where he is. I think he's under the chair, just sleeping.
But he has to know that you're just here.
Yeah, but if I stood up and I jingle my keys, he'll panic. He's either like we're going somewhere or he's going somewhere. And like if I'm going somewhere, then he does a thing where he like every part of his body droops and he like slowly shuffles to the bedroom to go lay on the ground and just be sad. And I'm like, what happened? Why are you like this? Like, there's no reason to be this
dramatic.
Yeah, there's like no reason to be this overly dedicated. And I get it. Like, I guess he's, alone. But I've never, anytime that I've left for long periods of time, I always return. Like, or I leave him with somebody. Like, if I'm going to be gone, like, overnight, I'll leave him with somebody. So that way he's not like dead ass alone. But I don't know. Like, I went to, for like 2 years, I went to an office every day. So it's not like he's not used to me leaving and then coming back. He has all this experience, but like every time he just has to have it. Like, if I'm not there or he can't be with me, he's sad. And I don't know where it came from or why it exists. And it's just like,
was he raised with you living alone?
No, he was originally my mom's dog. It wasn't even my dog. I got it for her because she wanted a dog. Because I didn't want one. Because I grew up with a dog, and when that dog died, I was like, all right, that's it. I did my due diligence. I paid my debt to society. I got to experience the thing of like raising a life and watching it die. That's like the whole point.
That's the society, yes.
Yeah, that's the point of pet ownership, is that it teaches you more like mortality. It teaches you like
that is
raising
like the
life
joke
and
I
watching
remember
it
hearing.
die.
That was like, if you get your kids a dog to teach them about death.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
doesn't work though. Dogs. By the time the dog dies, the kid is already old enough.
Well, yeah, the kid's old enough to now experience
if you get
death
at the beginning, the dog will die when they're like 10.
Yeah.
It'll be the first family loss.
Yeah, and so that was, I mean, for me, well, technically that was my second family loss. Because the first time I went to like a funeral at the age of 4, and that was a weird experience. It's really weird watching, like, as a kid, watching people being sad about a person that's just laying and like sleeping in a box. You're kind of like,
I feel like I was vaguely death
like
adjacent a few times as a kid, but like it was never someone that I understood as a person. And then so it's hard to, you can't really process the feelings of like they were here and now they're gone if you didn't really know them when they were here. It's just like, as a concept, somebody has ended, but I've never known them before this moment when they're dead.
Exactly. And so so my first experience with like losing a family member was my dog. And so like that was the first time I watched like I don't know, like having to, well, I had to literally watch him die because you go to the vet to get him put down. And so you get to sit there and watch as he just dies in front of you. And that's not a great experience. But like, yeah, it was not great. I hated it. I hate every second of that. And then I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to ever go through this. This sucks. Like, it's not for me. I love dogs, but I'm going to outlive them.
Here comes a new challenger.
Yeah, it's like you're basically like a fucking high elf in a society of mortals. Like, you just live forever and these dogs just die off, and like you just never age. Like,
your Eowyn just get adopting newer and newer Aragorns.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. Like you keep staying the same, and all these sad little dogs grow up
Like
and get
Lord of
old
the
and die
Rings
in
is
front
so
of you.
sad and emotional about how he's gonna die before she does, but then like when it finally happens, she just goes and gets a new one like a week later.
Exactly. It's awful, but like that's what
Maybe
that's
that
what
part's
dogs
in the Silmarillion.
That's like what
That's
dogs'
why-
impression of humans are, right? They're just this like never aging a beast. Like they get old and tired and worn out, and we're just still like, hey, how's it going? It's only been like 10 years. Like
But that's why I have a pet peeve about any fiction that has any type of person or like vampires or elves or whatever, and they live forever, and then the fiction focuses so much on, oh, I don't want to live to see all the people I know and love die.
Yeah.
That's what happens to humans. Have you seen your parents? What do you think is going to happen to them before you die? Hopefully, well, I say hopefully, but you know what I mean. It happens to us as well, just not in those terms, obviously. But the thing is, like, dogs are like that. We don't think any less of dogs. And then you see like a lot of fiction being like, oh, elves think less of humans because we die fast. No. No, that's not the reason. They probably do other things. There's other reasons there. You're just saying like that, but
I don't think I would want another sentient creature treating me like a dog. Like I don't think I would want the elves to treat me like dogs. Where they're like, oh look, they're very cute, they're very dumb, and they die very quickly. So that's fine.
Well,
you can like.
But what if dogs were super smart? Like, what if dogs had superhuman intelligence, and they
like a
still lived
dolphin?
like 7 or no, like 5 million people, but good people, not you know what I mean, like good brains. The dogs were super smart, but they still lived 7 to.
That's why I'm using the example of dolphins. Like dolphins have high
dolphins are
intelligence,
not very.
but-
They're dumber than us. I'm talking like alien level intelligence. Like they came in here as like, oh, you don't even understand relativity. Do you know what I mean? What if dogs were like that?
Like your dog writes poetry that you don't really get.
Yeah, and they have weird opinions about movies. You know how it
He
goes.
can't even snap his fingers. What's the fucking point of dog poetry?
They've got shitty
Garbage.
takes about Avatar.
Because the thing is, our society is so biased towards
Really
assigning.
brings my dog has a Twitter to a new level.
Our
My dog's
society is so
getting
biased.
canceled.
So,
I like The Last Jedi because I think everyone needed more
age-
bones in their arsenal. No one had enough bones on them. It was just a bunch
There's
of
not-
sticks, and sticks are great, but sticks don't make a good movie. You need sticks and bones. 0 out of 10 paws. Like
I need to watch
done.
Star Wars. I don't
So that you can
the
understand
sticks
this
and bones.
joke about a dog not
His
liking
bones?
it.
I get it.
The idea of like, because Keith's talking
got
about
there.
like hot takes on Twitter dogs, and that's what they would just be talking about, like shitty dumb dog opinions.
Now
All I'm saying is that-
I'm just gonna start imagining when people say weird shit on Twitter and their avatar is their pet, that it's just actually their pet, just typing on their phone.
What is
Super
a dog's
intelligent
what is a
pet.
dog's view of soccer? Like, oh, what a stupid game. No one ever gets the ball. They just keep kicking it away from each other.
A
Like-
Dog's Life 3 Twitter. Are they on 3?
Oh,
I don't know
no.
how many Dog's Life there are.
I don't. Are there dogs' life?
I think there's 2
What?
Dog's Lives now.
I thought it was Ant's life.
Like it'll be a pretty frequent series of sequels because dogs have shorter lives.
Wow.
They actually last pretty long. Most dogs last for 15 years. It's just
That's
the really
unlikely.
That's usually a pretty generous, like you must be like high maintenance your dog's health if you want it to live that long.
Well, it's also really specific breeds, probably much smaller ones.
No,
That
the
too,
breeds
yeah.
are the ones that last lower. That last not as long because they have health problems.
The smaller
well,
dogs,
say-
the smaller
yeah.
dogs usually live longer, and the larger dogs usually
Mm-hmm.
die sooner.
Yeah. The thing is, it's like the problem isn't that they're not built to be long lasting. It's just that they, for one reason or another, they don't last that long. Either because they are wild or because they're not looked after. It's like foxes only live for like 7 or 8 years in the wild, but they live for 30 years in captivity. And it's just like completely different.
Well, all of our dog numbers are based on captivity.
And that's
that's
why
I don't
that's
think
true.
we're
That's
really
why German
tracking wild dogs when we talk about these things.
and that's why German Shepherds are the best, because
Like
they live
Chihuahuas
up
last
to 13
forever.
years.
But Great Danes do not.
Chihuahuas last forever. That is true.
Yeah, they're
Chihuahuas do last
their
forever.
hate fuels them. They'll turn into this shaking, blind, toothless, diabetes-riddled mess, but they'll live to be 20.
Yes. Yeah, they turn into like awful looking potatoes and they're just still alive somehow. And you're like, how old are you? And
They got
it's just
snaggle
like,
teeth, their eyeballs popped out. Like,
Yep. Yeah.
How old are you?
spoken as somebody who had to give shots to a Chihuahua they did not like.
Yeah. By yourself.
Sometimes you really see like the brain working and how it only has really specific moment, like the really specific machinery of a dog brain sometimes, where like the Chihuahua would get so excited about treats, and so it would practically beg at the pantry for me to give it treats. But the moment I actually opened the pantry, it would run upstairs and hide under the bed because the pantry was where the shots were.
Oh, shit.
Like these
Jesus.
two, or not specifically the pan. We don't know the pan. Actually, the shots were in the fridge. It was that whenever we gave them treats, the next step, it came with a shot. Like we'd just give them a shot, and then they'd get a treat as a reward afterwards. But even though they were literally begging for the treats, the moment we actually reach for the treats, they remember the shot and then run away. But they can't hold those ideas in their head at once. Like only they switch back and forth.
Well, you're just not seeing it. The pantry was a mimic. That's what was going on.
That was an astonishingly stupid dog, but it was also annoying and mean. So really, no upsides. I don't want to live with a Chihuahua again. Right now, there's
gotta be a way to tame that hate, though. In a Chihuahua, right?
I think that's kind of like their entire purpose is like they exist to be balls of hate. I don't think you're supposed to have like a, it's kind of like against its nature to teach it to not be what it's supposed to be.
Like, right now, I live with a pit bull mix, a husky, a Shiba Inu, and a corgi. And the corgi is my least favorite. She's just kind of bitchy and forceful and rude. Like she's mean to the other dogs, and she's really pushy. Like like when she wants you to pet her, she like jams her nose into you really forcefully, and then forces her way in under your hand and so on. And she'll like, if you resist her, she'll like push harder, and it's like fucking stop. Whereas like Birch the husky is like super gentle and like he droops his head down and like looks up at you like come on, and like he'll like lay his head on the when he's begging for pets and stuff, he lay his head on the couch and just stare at you and like or like on your leg. The Kiki's a stompy mess. She's just a lot. She doesn't understand boundaries. She'll like jump up on you and she'll just try like licking anything she can reach, usually straight for the face. And if she can't reach, she'll just sort of sit there and like lick the air like a lizard. And she has a really loud tongue that just like slaps itself in the air loudly. Yeah. So like you can hear her just doing it over and over again.
It's like a whip.
She's so goofy and clumsy and weird. It's really funny. And then the Shiba Inu is like an alien to me. It's too smart and it creeps me out. Like I think I've heard that Shiba Inu are supposed to be like they're supposed to be like the smart. They're supposed to be like the smarter dogs, like out of all of them or something. And it's noticeable. It's really off-putting. It has like it doesn't. Part of it is the fact that it's a dog that doesn't seem to show any dependence feelings at all, and instead is borderline indifferent to you, and like it'll watch from afar, and like when you pet it, it'll react in a little bit of like, oh, why are you doing that sort of thing. Like they're like curious and a little off put by the fact that you're petting them, like it's condescending. Like it's like
okay,
like it feels too much like a human that doesn't like being a dog is dealing with being a dog, and it's like why do I have to put up with all this human bullshit? Like it's really weird. It also has dark pits for eyeballs.
Oh,
Like,
that would no. Okay, that I think that is the reason, Keith. Everything
It
else,
doesn't-
you
it
should have
doesn't-
just led with that.
it doesn't help.
Just has dark.
Yeah, like the
Yeah, I don't.
because like different dogs
Satan.
have very
It's
different
Satan in the dog.
eyeballs, and like it's like the sclera or something or whatever the fuck. Like they can have like a white eye, like a human does, with like a colored iris and everything, and have that all be like really like noted. Like they can have very human eyes, like like Birch does, our husky. Or they can have like dark pits, like their eye. They can have like a black eye with like a brown iris or whatever, and that's like it's so hard to. They just have like these dark pits that look at you, and then they act weird, and it's like easily the weirdest dog is the Shiba Inu. Just has all sorts of
You've read
bizarre.
too much
patterns.
Junji Ito for your dog's good.
I was kind of thinking about Beastars and the back and forth of how like they keep drawing characters with human eyes and like beady little like just like dark like just pinpoint eyes or whatever, like the
Yeah, like Haru versus Legoshi. Is
yeah,
like,
like the
wait a second, how
like
come?
the primary like the Legoshi and Louis have human eyes, and then Haru just has like rabbit eyes, where it's just like two black circles, and there's a lot of like back and forth there, and I'm not even entirely always sure what the thought process is. Like the hyena that Legoshi is in a dorm with has the dark eyes, but there's a hyena in a later Beast Complex chapter that has like human looking eyes, and I'm like, I don't know if that was them, if that's like an inconsistency or a mistake, or if there's like a rule or how it works.
I think it's just
it's definitely not sympathy, because usually when you're doing that, it's like that's the villain character. They don't have big sympathetic Disney eyes. It's like Haru is the most sympathetic character besides like basically the entire manga.
It could be that rabbits just have very specific eyes, and they're
Yeah, but the Harlequin rabbit has big angry human eyes.
Yeah.
So I don't get it.
Yeah, it's not consistent against species or around species. I think the idea.
species, yeah.
I think it's supposed to just be an aesthetic choice. Like I think Haru looks
Like she just
more
draws
innocent.
the characters over and over again until they
Yeah.
hit like the way they want them to be drawn. It's like, I guess they have these eyes.
I think there's like something like I think it again, you know, all the animals look different because that's how people look different. And I think the idea that Haru looks more akin to a natural rabbit would speak more to her. Like, I guess you could be creepy about it and say she's more like pure blood than say the Harley Quinn rabbit, who is like obviously mixed blood because she has like big anime eyes, but she's a rabbit. I mean,
isn't she a hare? Because of Haru, I could see that being. I could see that being the Japanese version of hare.
She is a
You know what I
white
mean?
dwarf rabbit.
Yeah, she's a white dwarf.
There we
rabbit.
go.
But
I need to see.
yeah, but I
need to
don't know.
watch.
Like I would wonder if maybe there's something
You,
about
you gotta
like,
watch this show so that my video doesn't spoil it when I get it done 6 months from now, when it's 20,000
plenty
words
of
long
time.
or whatever.
Although 6 months from now is like next week, considering
Because we're
waves
dealing
and
with
everything.
this version of time.
Yeah.
But like there's weird things with Kiba where he'll always be like a few steps behind the other dogs in various things, like when they're all let out to pee and shit. I guess, and literally shit, but that's not what I meant when I said shit. But like you know, like you have a bunch of dogs, and like you know how they learn where the seam is, where the glass door opens, and they crowd it, and they like try to force through the moment the doors open and stuff, unless you're like training them to like to hold or whatever. So like we have like 3 dogs that just all burst through and they try to get through instantly, and it's like kind of like a body blocking between Kiki and Birch, because they're both medium to big dogs, and then Rhea kind of is under them and just kind of runs through. Birch will like jump over Rhea to get through faster sometimes. Like they so instantly have to get through, because like there's like delayed gratification is not a dog emotion. But Kiba sits back. He literally sits down, watches the other dogs go in, then stands up and comes in. Like he doesn't bother with the crowds. But it's also not like submissiveness or anything. It doesn't seem to be, because like if anything, he harasses the other dogs a little bit and like tests his boundaries and like kind of like pokes at them and like elicits reactions from them and shit. Like he's so fucking weird. It's such a different. Dogs have really distinct personalities. I can't mix any of these ones up with each other. It's a lot, and none of them act like the dog that I had as a kid, because I grew up with a yellow lab, and none of them act like the little Chihuahua shit that I am glad to not be taken care of anymore.
Labradors are pretty awesome as well. They're very smart.
Yeah,
in my
I
experience.
mean, dogs are. That's the benefit of most pets, is that they usually have. The longer you spend with them, the more personality you can find within them.
Yeah.
But I am curious about how much of that is self-created. Like, how much of that is just you
projecting?
trying. Yeah, like how much are you just trying to create some kind of connection between you and this animal versus what it really does have a personality like? Like I don't know.
They have plenty like separable like behavior patterns that are just too objectively observable to be projected. Like, there's definitely like people reading into stuff be like, oh wow, look, I got my dog to say ice cream truck, and it's like you didn't do that. You're really reading into it. You're people thinking Coco can talk, like, but like the dogs definitely have completely different personalities and behave differently and react to different things differently and so on.
Just yeah, I don't know.
Like Kiba's silent. He doesn't bark or react to things. But then if he gets startled too hard or like somebody handles him a little rough, he will suddenly scream. Like he's dying. Like so dramatically, and you're like, "Oh my god." But that'd be like the one sound you get out of him for like 3 weeks. Like he's completely silent at all times. No like whining at a door or barking when somebody arrives or anything. Like if he is like attentively running up to like a gate to like see what's going on, like it's a completely silent motion. Like there is no actual like emoting and reactions. It's just attentiveness, and that's it. It's just so weird. Meanwhile, and there's like different stages of like, what is it? Like I remember like our Labrador, if you put her outside and left her out there, she would just look as miserable as possible, sit at the glass door and just continually whine out loud for literal hours if you ignored her, and she would just stay out there. Meanwhile, like if we're in the current house, if we're all like watching a movie and we have the dogs like behind the gate and not with us, like Rhea the corgi will kind of come in and out of being like, can I get some attention, or like can I get through here, what's going on? Kiba doesn't give a fuck, and Birch will just sit there at the gate the entire time staring at us, and then go in and out of phases of whining, and he'll be there the entire movie. And it's like there's just really distinct different behaviors from one to another, and like that's a personality. Even if the word personality can lead to people anthropomorphizing them too much and like making shit up as a result.
I mean, I guess it's like the thing about all animals though, right? Is that you kind of want to find, I don't know, like sometimes you just feel like you want to have common ground with the creature.
But that's the thing with everybody as well. It's not just dogs. Personality is really, like, to what extent do we have personality if we're by ourselves? Like, imagine you grow up by yourself and don't interact with anybody else. Would you even understand yourself to have a personality? Or would you just take it as... You wouldn't
have context with which to classify it, but you would still have your own personality,
so?
and that you'd have different... Yeah, like... Well, to not have a personality would mean that everybody, when completely alone, would be the same person.
No, but what I'm saying is that what we define as personality is dependent on what is different between ourselves and other people. Like, we don't think that...
yeah, but you would still be contrastable to other people without knowing what was different about you.
But that's what I'm saying.
It's like, does a tree make a sound if it falls in the woods or whatever? It's like, a personality exists even if you don't measure it.
But the thing is, we don't have access to it without other people. We can't tell.
We don't have access to the language about it, which is not the same thing as
or
not
even
having
knowing,
a personality.
Like we can identify our own personality, even though some people can't. But it takes a little bit of introspection and self-reflection and all that, but we can tell. Like, I know that
I think everybody knows their personality. I think people know the kind of person they are. They just sometimes don't want to admit. Well, yeah, it's like the difference between you know what kind of person you are, but you don't know the context of what that means. Like, you don't know if being a person who likes bananas is a bad trait or not until you meet someone else who's like, bananas are great. And you're like, oh, I don't like bananas. This might be a problem. Like, it's like that's usually like personality.
Pineapple on pizza.
Yeah, like personality without context is kind of meaningless. Like, sure, it doesn't matter what kind of person you are if you're alone, because you only have you to bounce that personality off of.
My point is that it's not the dogs don't have made up personality any more than people have made up personality. That's what personality is. It's our capacity as a group of humans to identify the differences of our behavior. Like, and it's kind of surprising that you say that everybody knows what kind of people they are. I'm just.
Well, everyone has a self-image of who they think they are to some extent. That doesn't mean they know. A lot because people generally are bad judges of their own character.
Yeah, well,
nothing shows you that more than someone talking about themselves, and you're like,
yeah,
really?
I think
that's what you think this is. One of my favorites is when you have people that like brag about how they're really honest, and everyone loves that about them, and then like when you know the surrounding people, you're like, everyone thinks this person's a huge asshole, and they don't like dealing with them. And like that's what you think this is a virtuous trait. I see. Oh no.
I think it took me well into my 20s to start figuring out my own personality, and not just personality as in not knowing basically knowing myself. I mean, as in being aware in advance of what kind of reactions or what kind of emotions I'm going to have in different circumstances. Things like how I handle, being uncomfortable, or, physically uncomfortable, or how I handle stress when it's caused by people acting in ways that I don't agree with. That stuff just comes with life experience. And I think, I don't know, maybe it depends. I suppose it depends on what kind of people you are and what kind of school environment you have growing up. Because, of course, school is such a big part of our personality. But I like all of my school life, I don't see any, looking back,
self-awareness.
And I've never in my life. Yeah, it's like I can't take away anything from it. But
self-awareness doesn't like define whether you have a personality.
That's part of your personality more than anything. It's just that I think what I'm saying is that what we see in dogs as personality is what their personality is between themselves. I don't think that they would expect. Like, I don't think dogs see personality in each other or even in humans. It's not something that they're probably equipped to deal with, because it's such an abstract notion as well.
Like dogs learn. I mean, like they wouldn't know the terminology or whatever, but like dogs learn how to adopt different behavior patterns around different other dogs when they spend time around them enough. Like they learn which I see as them learning the personalities of the other dogs, essentially.
Do you not think that's more of a matter of identity? Like being incapable, you ask for your mother to do something, you don't ask for strangers. That's not personality. That's just who they are. That's to you, obviously, but
I don't. Do you know what I mean? I don't see a distinction.
I guess there isn't much, is there?
The things that make you different as an individual isn't really distinguishable from the idea of a personality. Really, I don't. Especially if we're talking about when we're trying to interpret dogs, like. Any difference you can think of is only going to get more blurred. Like, I don't think that's a meaningful distinction to make.
Yeah, that's true. That's a fair point.
I don't know enough about biology to really make much more comments more than I just like. I know the kind of person I am, and I know the kind of person my dog is, but I don't know if either of us actually know the kind of person we are. Like, I don't know if my dog knows who he is, or I don't know if I really know who I am outside of the context of like, what's it called? Like, I know who I am, but not what those traits are, if that makes any sense. like I don't know how to explain it. Like I know I am the kind of person that does X, but I don't know if that translates to other people thinking that I'm the kind of person that does X. If that makes sense.
Sure. I don't think that extrinsic confirmation is required for a personality to exist, though.
That's true. That is
which was like
true.
the base level of this whole conversation.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
but I guess I was thinking more of like dogs. Like dogs wouldn't. I don't think like to Colonel's point. I don't think dogs like communicate to each other whether or not they are. I guess what they are. Like a dog doesn't isn't like, hey, aren't I so quirky? And another dog's like, actually, no, you're kind of annoying. Like I don't think there's I don't think dogs have like that kind
dogs don't have the ability to form a self-image, express that self-image, and then have that self-image be contradicted by their peers.
Yeah,
that's a certain level of sophistication of language that would be required in order to even start processing whether or not they can think about those terms.
Which is I guess that's the way I think of, like, I wonder if I don't know, like I guess when a dog changes their behavior, they're doing so based on simply whether or not they get punished for that behavior. Like they don't, it's not about whether they're not thinking about whether they've made a mistake in the moment about like, oh, maybe I was just rude. I should have like borked instead of like barked. But it's more of like they did
for borking.
Yeah, like they did an action and went like, oh, I'll never do that again. Like I got punished for that. I'll never do that again.
Dogs are pretty smart. Like they can lie.
Well, that's the thing. Is like that's what I'm.
Well, they lie in our eyes.
Like, well, I mean, they know to misdirect. Like they know when they learn that certain things are bad and they'll get in trouble for them. They learn how to they learn how to try to blame it on somebody else or how to hide themselves away from like the idea. Like they'll avoid looking at the thing that is the bad thing they did, or try to stay out of that room for as long as the bad thing is visible. Like they specifically know to like how like blame can be assigned and how like that's it's just overt like deception. It's like when you see a baby lie, you're like, oh, you've learned that there's a difference between perception and reality. Like this is like a really interesting thing to get into. And I don't know, it's fun watching like videos about like YouTube knows that I like watching videos about like hyenas and wolves and things. Like yesterday I was watching this thing about like it was a maned wolf apparently has a growl bark where it's like a roar. I think it's called a roar bark, where it's just like this big booming like it's scary. A maned wolf,
I imagine,
bark is scary sounding. And it's funny because it's a maned wolf isn't even a wolf. It looks like a fox on stilts. It's really dorky looking, but it's got such a weirdly powerful voice that's really intimidating. But like looking at the personality and behaviors of these creatures, like you can see exhausted parents, like poor wolf parents that have too many pups, and the pups are too energetic, and like the dad or the mom will just be fucking laying there and just miserable, and they look so tired and wrinkled that they're just like have like 6 pups just like rolling around and poking at them and like bothering them, and like you'll see like they'll hit a point where they'll growl at their own pups, and like they'll like try to fend them off by like showing like they'll be showing their teeth and continually growling for like minutes at a time, like trying to signal like leave me the fuck alone, because they can't deal with this anymore. But like they'll never do anything. Like even if they snap at their pups, it'll be like this like pretend bite that doesn't actually do anything, and then the pup will like loudly like shriek, whine, and so on, because like there's like a whole back and forth reaction. But like the pup will still be like snuggling against them and rolling into them and like pushing on them, and the parent will still be growling, and it's just like, this isn't going anywhere. Like you can't get rid of them, and you're not going to actually do anything, and it's like you're so tired.
Yeah.
So like a real parent.
Yeah, like that. Well, I mean, it just is a real parent dealing with the fact that like these things will be kind of stupid and kind of annoying and too energetic, and they're going to be like this for years. And to some extent, like that's
really.
also like
for years.
Well, it's like a year.
well,
It's a long time. A year is a long time when you're a wolf. That's like a lot of your life.
That's
it's just
fair.
waiting for your stupid babies to stop being annoying.
I mean, technically, a year of a dog's life is a decade. Like,
yeah. And when we talk about like the domestication of dogs and so on, like you give them neotenized traits, which is actually what humans have too. Like we're like neotenized gorillas, which is when you retain. it's when it's what I guess more accurately chimps or whatever. But like you retain these adolescent traits into adulthood, and aka forever. And that's why dogs have floppy ears and bark, which wolves don't have and do, but their puppies do. So like they're like permanently puppies, and that's because it's tied to the genes that lead to them being more sociable. Because baby mammals are like sociable like all the time, but then they get set in their ways, and they've been socialized to be like, these are the things that are good and bad and so on, and that's how I'll live forever. But like if you do that, if you neotenize, when you have blah blah, that's a hard word. Through juvenilization, you have organisms like humans and dogs that retain that sort of like ability to change and learn and so on way longer, and are more open to different experiences and different beings in a different way. And it's just it's a lot.
I like to think that somebody gets upset about another person, just like, God, I can't believe you're like that. It's like, don't blame me, it's my fucking gorilla ancestry. Like
that's why wild animals that are bred in captivity can't be released into the wild, because they're set in their ways. They can't learn anything.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, they will just not adapt. They will die.
I thought there's like a whole process for that. Like you can breed endangered species in captivity and then raise them to
you can breed them to release them, but I'm saying that if they grow up in captivity, then they can, if they're not raised to be released, if they're like somebody has a pet tiger and it's just a pet tiger, they can't go back into the wild because they will just get killed by anything. Or maybe not anything, but they'll just die. They'll do the bad things.
I would love to see
dogs are incapable of dealing with any wilderness, any wildlife.
Well, unless they're born.
I think dogs can hold themselves up a lot better for with wilderness, depending on.
They don't know what to do is the problem. It's not about like their physical capabilities or anything. It's like if you look at any video.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Any video where like some kind of bear or coyote enters society, and like the wild and like the animal control people are called and stuff like that. Like all those videos always have like a dog that's just in the thing's face and just barking. Like I watched a video last night where there's they cornered a coyote that was like, it was like in their side yard, pushed up against the brick wall of their house and the gate leading to their backyard. And it was cornered there because the only way out was to go towards like the driveway where the people were. So the coyote was just fucking frozen in place. Like maybe they won't see me. Like he was like camouflaging with the brick, but like 2 inches from his face on the other side of the vertical bar like gate that leads to the backyard is a dog just barking directly in his face the entire video. Like this coyote's trying so hard to stand still and hide from the humans, and this dog is just barking directly in their face for like the entire thing, and it's so fucking absurd. And it's like that's the extent of what dogs do.
Dog?
It's like that video where it's like, dude, be cool.
He's like, come on, what the fuck, man? I thought we were both dogs. What the fuck?
Or like the equivalent of like, what's it called? Like that there was that time that remember when that girl like had a black bear was like climbing her fence in their backyard, and she like shoved them over the fence or something, and like their dog was just gonna jump up at the bear, and it's like, that's not no. Like the dogs have none of the they don't have any of the
instinct.
About like how a wolf pack would interact with an organism, like any kind of like game or predator. Like they would think about range. Like that one of the reasons why wolves aren't like barking is because they know that quiet is actually valuable like not just constantly making noise, which dogs just always do all the time to anything strange. Like they just continually shout at it, and they're usually alone, and it's just a bad strategy, and they just go straight up in the face of the thing, which is also isn't even a good strategy for other dogs. Like other dogs don't like how dogs approach things, so like that's how a lot of dog fights start, is a dog gets in the face of the other dog too fast and it goes poorly and so on. Like Kiki is way too friendly to literally everything all the time and has no boundaries, and other dogs will flip out sometimes when she does that, and so that you have to like keep control of things. It's like the people are always like, oh yeah, my dog's friendly. It's like, you keep your dog on a fucking leash. I don't give a shit if your dog's friendly. You don't just randomly encounter, you cannot let dogs just encounter each other on the street at random. Like they all need to be leashed, and it has to be done very carefully, because any random dog that's just charging around too freely can just lead to like a dangerous confrontation that nobody was ready for.
You think your dog is friendly, then you haven't seen anything, and then Kiki shows up with all the friendly, and then the other dog freaks out. No more friendly.
This was a very... We just got a whole answer out of me opening the... We just got a whole hour out of me opening with, hey, what's your favorite dog breed?
Yeah, I mean, animals are fun to talk about. Everyone loves animals.
Mm-hmm.
Womp womp.
That's true.
Why, did you have another topic you wanted to talk about besides animals?
There's a lot of questions in the...
This email has 18 questions. I'm going to skip a lot of them, because a lot of them are like, I don't really want to answer those. What's the hardest part about being a Let's Player?
The hardest part? Social
Consistency.
life.
Like consistency of like making anything?
Yeah.
Yep. That's the universal problem when it's not your like daily incentivized like survival thing. Like every
what did you do?
What?
Oh, sorry, go for it. I didn't interrupt.
Everybody quiet.
Keith, you were gonna say.
Well, it's just like every smaller channel that I know that doesn't end up reaching the point where it's like, this is my life now. It's always the same pattern of like, I'm really motivated this week, and then like, see you guys in 3 months, and so on, like back and forth, like you and Bird, and basically every YouTube channel that like I encountered like at the beginning, like there was like waves and waves of people from like the Let's Play subreddit, and they would all kind of like flicker in and out periodically, and like there's always the I think he actually stopped saying it recently, but for a long time while we were doing Overwatch and all this other stuff, like there was the mantra from FV of like, I think I should really get back into streaming, which he would just said like on a weekly basis for years.
Yeah.
Like a motivation thing.
Streaming is even harder than Let's Playing, like in terms of consistency, and certainly in terms of what my answer was, which is the social life. I think like if you're going to be a Let's Player or a streamer, specifically a streamer, but even a Let's Player, the biggest hurdle is making it your life. So unless you have money to just sustain yourself, you're going to need to have a job. And if you have a job and then you still record or stream, then when do you have time for family or friends, right? And I think that's probably the hardest part. Maybe not hardest as in, I think like that's just unavoidable. Did you guys manage to maintain a social life with while working and having a YouTube channel at the same time?
I've never maintained a social life, basically.
Yeah. I don't think I maintained a social life, but it came at the cost of consistency. Like it's really hard to make a fair balance between socializing and doing a thing that takes hours. And it's not even just the fact of like, oh, even if you do it at like a job 8 hours a day, because like realistically, even if you do, you're still doing more than 8 hours a day. And there's still just always these other elements in there. Like if I want to socialize with people, usually it requires me to use a computer, which means I can't be exporting videos, which means that I got to do that later in the day, which means I have to like consider, hey, before I go to bed, I got to make sure I put all these videos to export, so that way in the morning I can get them out. Like it's really hard to find a pretty doable balance. And people's schedules are different. So some people don't have all the time to be off, and you may not, you know, if you have to stream at certain times, for example, you have to work around that. Or if you have a consistent upload schedule, then you need to work around that. Like if someone says, hey, let's go to the park at 10 a.m. and you're like, I gotta make sure my videos are up at 10, and it takes me until at least like noon. Like it can be really hard to juggle that kind of stuff. But I again, that to argue, like, that's kind of how retail works too. Like retail is also this like hellish scheduling nightmare where it's hard to maintain social life, except for the times where like you don't get money. Like if you're not getting paid, that's probably like the only time you can socialize, really. But yeah, that's just me at least personally.
There's another aspect, and I think only in hindsight am I really capable of seeing it, which is how people react to you having to make decisions in your life about when you're available or what you can do. When I started doing YouTube, I had a band. I had a band for a few years, and it was just something that I saw I had time to do. I could use my gaming time for video making. But the thing with the consistency thing is that sometimes you just need to say no. It doesn't have to be all the time that you say no, but sometimes you need to say no. And the thing is, people will react to you saying no if they're used to you never saying no to hanging out or to helping out or whatever. And so the double standard is immediate, because for some people, the same people will say no problem whatsoever if you can't, but then you all of a sudden you can't do it this Saturday night, and then you have to justify yourself, and then it's, oh, you value that more than I do. And it's like, yeah, I do. Just,
I think
there's some
those are unhealthy people.
Yeah, that's definitely the case, but it's just that the availability and the change of availability is definitely something that you need to set boundaries and set.
I do find that when it's your job, this is something that people are less likely to respect. So if they want you to do if they want to do something or whatever, then it's like a direct affront. Like you're specifically saying no to them for other reasons when you decline to do something because you're trying to get something done for your work. And there's like this expectation of availability that is unfair, basically.
Absolutely.
It can be very frustrating. And it's probably made worse by the fact that, like, as a rule, I try to say yes to basically anything, just because otherwise I might just sit here all the time. So like I try to make room for basically anything all the time, and sometimes I just so don't want to deal with that particular thing.
I think in regards to the pandemic really changed the perspective that people have, and it's a good thing that it changed, but the perspective that people have on work from home. I mean, maybe it didn't change it completely, but it was something that people talked about a lot back a year and a half ago, where people would start work from home, that people who had worked in an office or whatever all their life and then started working from home and starting to deal with people not respecting their time and just being like, oh, you're not doing anything all day, you're just working from home. That was definitely something I saw a lot on Twitter, people coming to terms with that. The thing that I find the most surprising about,
like, I remember Bird being really frustrated and having to set boundaries and stuff, because like he would just get, like, in the early stages, people were treating it like the coworkers were treating it like they were just literally always available for work things, and you could always contact people at all the hours of the day, and it was like, oof. At that point you're just always working, and it's like being a goddamn doctor.
Yeah, like work from home. Yeah, work from home became on call, and you're like, no,
that's the other side of what I was saying.
Yeah, like work from home just means that from my normal work hours, I'm at home, and that's it. Nothing else changes.
I remember early work from home, we would have plans. So you and I would be streaming or doing something, and then you would just disappear for like an hour sometimes. Like we'd be doing our World of Warcraft series, and you would just leave because you suddenly got called about something, that was like like that one time someone was like, fix my spreadsheet, and you just literally you photoshopped their spreadsheet ultimately or whatever to fix it, like something like that. Like
it was ridiculous.
Like moments like that, I was like, there's like the first 15 or 20 minutes of like, I don't know if he's coming back, and then eventually like I guess I'll keep streaming for a bit. I'll just play my other character and sort of talk directly to chat for a while. And then for like an hour later, you came back, and it was like, that's just somebody fucking just calling you at a random. Like you should be able to, like, the whole point of not being a YouTuber is that you should be able to go home from work and have it end and be like, I am in not work mode. I can do what I want now. It's really fucked up if your job isn't YouTube, that when they then turn around and be like, hey, what if all of your life was work? Because that's the pit you fall into as a YouTuber, is like you're always, especially like that's why some YouTubers have offices, is to try to recreate the idea of going to work and then leaving work and like mentally switching in and out of that. Because like if you work in your bedroom, then it's easy to fall into a loop of just always working, especially since like the thing you do for work is a thing you kind of enjoy. So it's like you can so easily just have that be your life all the time.
I was coming at it from the other side, though. I was thinking of people in your family not treating you like if you were at work when you're working from home. You guys just went through the aspect. It's like on the one hand, you're always on call, and on the other hand, you're always on a sabbatical or something. Yes. Yeah.
You're simultaneously always working, but also your work doesn't really count. So you're free to do this, right?
Yeah.
And it's so fucking aggravating, and nobody like properly really understands how to interact with it.
I mean, if you set boundaries well enough, they understand. They get there. I still, as a
depends
habit,
greatly on the person.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I still, as a habit, will always say, please don't make noise when I leave a room where the other people in the house are, and I'm just coming up here. It's just as I always say that. It's just like my goodbye emote. But
I've had some increasingly terse conversations about like repeated interruptions of people knocking on my door about this or that, and it's just not a big deal. And it's like, you should not. This was not worth interrupting me over. You could just text me, and I'd get it, and I'd hear about the whatever eventually or whatever. But like repeatedly getting my door knocked on in the middle of recording sessions over and over again, and it's just like, no, stop. I'm doing a thing. You make my whole day longer and harder when this happens, and it creates this permanent like interruption in the video that I'm currently making, and then there's like a knock-on effect of like several other problems that happen. And it's like it ends up as a thing where like you're the asshole, and it's like you wouldn't do this for anyone else's job.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm recalling when I started doing Let's Plays, I wouldn't edit them. I would just start recording on OBS and then pause it, stop the recording at the end. So I would just do my intro and outro all in one take, which means that, and I didn't edit because I didn't have an editing
I remember.
Which means that if somebody interrupted me midway through, I had to scrap the whole recording. And I did that a few times. And there were I was mad at people for that, and I would explicitly say, you have just cost me half an hour.
That would drive me fucking crazy.
Of a time I don't have, because I'm like, I have a daytime job, and then I'm doing this after hours. And so I remember having those conversations. It's just the boundaries need to be set. There's no other way around that.
Yeah, I remember that, because I remember doing Viking with you and Bumpy, and you were both, at the time, I think, just recording in one clip and then uploading it, essentially. So like I was in streamer mode the way that we are like with our sessions with Bird and Andrew and everybody normally, where it's like, oh yeah, we just go for 2 hours, I just hit record, I figure out what to do with it later. But like when we did Viking, it was like we were doing the entire playthrough by literally stopping and starting in like 20 or 30-minute chunks with like 3 people. And it's like, this is an awkward way to do this, especially if you end up having to like, especially if you end up in a differently structured playthrough, like if it was Valheim or something, where you'd want to like maybe edit certain things out. And it's like, suddenly this video is 10 minutes long now, or suddenly this video has 3 outros in it because they keep saying goodbye, but then the video keeps going. Like,
yeah, I in hindsight, it could have been handled better, but it was just like part of the learning experience, I suppose, on my end.
Like nowadays, I definitely find it easiest to, when I can get away with it, try to have in my solo playthrough stuff, like a structured recording where I'm keeping an eye on the timer and I try to actively like choose when each episode starts and ends while I'm recording, as opposed to trying to find an opening and editing, because it's way more awkward when I can like, even though I don't really do an outro or an intro, I can like consciously pick a moment to end the episode, and that's more helpful than like trying to find the spot, because like there's like two rhythms happening at the same time in a Let's Play. Like one is the cadence of the video game itself, like cutscenes and boss fights and all that, and the other one is my own commentary. And like whenever, like there's like a direct relationship where whenever the game is flowing the most, or like has a break in the flow and is like switching states, and it'd be a good episodic time to break it, that's when I'm most likely to be starting up or being in the middle of like a big ramble about something, so that I can't interrupt that. And I'm like, fuck. It's like I definitely try to like live edit in that way, which means yes, that whenever anything happens, like I die and have to run back or whatever, and I'm like, okay, this time we're not showing it, then it's like, okay, I have to consciously end my recording, keep in my mind how long that recording was, do the math of how much time's left in the episode, and then keep in my mind while I'm recording how much longer the next recording should be to like even it out to then be a complete episode. Like that's been happening in Demon's Souls and so on. But then when something happens like Lock, like a puzzle game, fucking throw it in the garbage. Just gonna binge record for like 6 hours, and we're just gonna fucking find the structure in the editing, because I have no idea how much I'm editing out of any episode while I'm making it, because I have no idea like how long I'll be stuck on a particular puzzle, and like it's just there's enough mental bandwidth being spent on the puzzles that I don't want to sit there and like start a timer and be like, okay, well, it took me 15 minutes to solve this puzzle, but I'd really like it if the pacing was more like 6 minutes, so I'm gotta do math about what that means for this. Like, no, it's pointless. It's undoable.
The other thing about having a consistency is that if you record every day, it doesn't matter what you're gonna record that day, is you need to be in the mood to record.
Oh, I hate that.
That is like, it can be a day-long process. If you're like,
you gotta like psych yourself up.
Yeah, absolutely. And if like, you can basically spend the whole day psyching yourself up, and if it doesn't work, if you're not in the mood, well, I guess that you can't. Like, you're either gonna record something bad, or it's just you don't record.
Oh yeah, you can spend your entire day in a funk, feeling like you're like not in the right headspace to do your job or whatever, and being like, maybe if I have coffee, maybe if I eat.
Sugar works very well.
You go through like phases of like what thing you think might help and so on. Or, like, I'm gonna go on a walk. Maybe I'll like wake up or something, or feel better. Like you just keep going through phases of what might help. It sucks.
For me, I play the guitar. I have sugar, a lot of it. And if I drive, I'm good. I don't know why. I think it's just a habit of like driving home from work, and in the driving I get in the mood, because I started doing YouTube like that. Yeah, I would always record right after coming from work. So on the way home, I would be like, "Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play," and all that. And especially because I spend the whole day speaking Portuguese and then need to switch to English, and so yeah.
I can't even process that idea.
Sorry?
I can't even process that idea. Like, what is the bilingual life is just like a whole different thing. Yeah, it definitely rocks my world a bit that you live in a society that speaks a different language than the channel that you run all day. Like, you do hours and hours and hours of content all the time in a completely different language. Presumably, like I assume, did you do it to practice English, or did you do it because English was a bigger market and your videos would do better, or both? Or
no, I did it because I thought my English was good enough, which it wasn't necessarily, but it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't unintelligible, and it isn't still, I hope. But it's mostly for the reach. I think, I mean, the fact that I cannot play games in Portuguese because they don't exist, especially older games, that's definitely a thing. Imagine doing a Let's Play of an English game in Portuguese. It'd be weird. Like, there's no... I suppose it works like if you're doing like a Minecraft playthrough or something, or a shooter or whatever. These days it's a lot different, but back in the day there weren't.
The stuff just wasn't localized?
Yeah, it would. There's basically no games in Portuguese or in European Portuguese anyway. Even today, there's very few, like especially role playing games.
So they all end up as being Brazilian Portuguese. If they have any at all.
Even then, there's very few.
So you essentially had to like learn English to be a fan of video games.
Yeah. I mean, games is the reason why I, well, it's not the reason why I know English, because eventually life goes its own way. But I learned English through video games for sure. Yeah, like so the basic skills that I acquired in school, but like the interest came from reading walkthroughs and playing Fallout and playing Baldur's Gate and reading walkthroughs to those games as well. And obviously there's a lot of vocabulary that comes from there. But after that, the listening to Let's Plays and listening to video game videos really got me to where I am today, I think. So yeah, games definitely are the reason why I speak English so much.
It's definitely a weird experience where like you as a Let's Player, you just have people tell you that they're watching your content to learn English, and you're like, am I the best source on that? Like,
I must say that I
didn't volunteer
that never happened to me. I mean, it works.
That's no, wait.
You're saying I'm saying that about you? Yes, that is true. I was thinking you were talking about comments that you get.
No, I am.
Oh, you're saying
that's a whole genre of comment is people that say that they're watching your content to learn English, and I'm like, I didn't volunteer to be an authority on that.
But it works really well though. Like the thing that I noticed the most with my colleagues that speak English or try to speak English is that they'll always be thinking about how to say whatever they are thinking in English, which is, I mean, I know it sounds like of course they're doing that, but the you only really get to speak a language fluently when your thought is already shaped by what you know to say. Like, and that happens a lot. I noticed that a lot as well with how much I hesitate in when doing these podcasts in comparison to my own Let's Plays, because when I do a Let's Play, I already know what I'm thinking. I never walk myself or run myself into a rut where I'm like, oh, I don't know what, how do I say what I'm trying to say? And in podcasts, because there's so much of a back and forth in our thoughts here, I certainly get myself all twisted every once in a while. But in a day-to-day language, like, we don't think, the common speech is very much about just common phrases that we say every day. Like, even when we're trying to explain ourselves or come up with new ideas, we just really, at the end of the day, there's very few sentences that we make up on the spot, and if we just don't know that intimately because we live with our language. It
stands out way more when you're not as familiar with the language.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know shit for Japanese, but it's like, let's play a fun drinky game. Let's count down to when they say chotomate.
Yeah. It's just those common sentences. And so hearing people say those common sentences and just adding them to your vocabulary and just knowing how often they say it as well. Because sometimes you say something really weird, but you've heard it already, so you're not like wrong. But you said it's like in a weird context, or it's just a weird way of saying it. Even though it's technically correct and you already heard it. It's just knowing how often people say a certain thing is so valuable to being fluent in English. So I can definitely, like, it's not about how well you speak in your native language or whatever well means in that context. It's just about hearing people talk. It's so important to, just learning how to talk yourself.
Meanwhile, I'm the guy that will just say a weird wrong sentence on purpose because it's like, my job is to entertain, so I'm just gonna do this wrong on purpose. That's the goal. Learn from me.
It sounds a lot worse when you say it like that, where you're like, I'm actively saying things wrong on purpose, and people are like, I want to learn English through you. Well,
it reminds me, it's like the first year when we had Effie back was like, he would repeatedly be like, they're like, that's what a weird thing to say, or that was a strange, like he'd like react to a thing like that, and it's like, oh, yep, Effie, that's what I do. That was
the new me.
That was me doing a little funny. Like when Thought Slime says Burger King.
Watch Crumb.
Watch Crumb.
Effie should actually. Effie doesn't do that ever. We need to.
What?
We need to ask Effie to say things wrong.
Well, he's more of a straight man than he is.
Yeah.
He's more of a straight man.
Yeah, that's. Well, yeah,
he's the nothing would go over my head. I would catch it person.
That's why I'm saying, like, we need to like train him to say something wrong. So Effie, you're gonna say something wrong.
He takes basically everything completely literally, like to the point where jokes don't work because he thinks that
but that's
you just mean it.
I know. To the point where I think he's doing it on purpose, but the way you're saying it right now, it doesn't seem like he is.
There's just people that are wired that way, I think.
Yeah.
I've tested the boundaries before with people sometimes when I find that they're like that, where I'm like, let's see how absurd I can get something and see if it ever registers as a joke, and it like still won't. And I'm like, I don't know what it's like to live this life, but here we are.
Yeah,
like I can discuss real life as if it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and it'll just be taken completely in good faith that it's real, that what I'm saying. And I'm like, okay, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's always the case, but I think like some of it's like autism spectrum type stuff, where it's just like different ways of social interacting. Although I don't think that covers everyone, though. A wide variety of reasons why somebody can be just a bit confusing.
I couldn't tell you. I know the way that I interpret things in the world. I often make that mistake where I'll like, sometimes I'll just completely misunderstand the tone of someone's voice on whether or not they're being like jokingly or not. I'm like, oh, wait, are you, you know, like you have to take that second where you're like, am I supposed to react absurd, or am I supposed to be concerned that they made this like egregious error? Like, you know, like how are you supposed to approach the situation? It's like
sorry.
I was gonna say it's like seeing someone hold a hammer upside down, where you're like, okay, this is either really dangerous or they're making a really good joke, but like you don't want to wait until they swing. Yeah, like you don't want to wait until they swing at you to like figure out whether it's a joke or not. You kind of want to like prepare yourself for that joke. I
was gonna say, like, when you said that, I thought I was gonna say, oh, that sort of happens to everybody. But then I was thinking, does it actually? You know, when you need to take a step back. I mean, I think it does. I have a story where it happened. It doesn't happen to me very often. It's just saying, but I understand that it might happen to everybody. There's another name for a Yeti, which is the abominable snowman. Is that how it works? I know there's an English version of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it abominable snowman?
Yep.
Okay. So abominable is a weird word. Even in Portuguese, it is a weird word because it comes from abomination, and it's not necessarily very often used.
It's like saying anemone. Like it's a really messy, pain in the ass thing to pronounce, just in general. I
was on vacation with some friends and with some people that I didn't interact with very often, and so I didn't have the repertoire to make fun of them or even try to make fun of them or anything. It was one of the cases where I perhaps should have taken a step backwards to think what their tone was, because I didn't. So what happened was, I am a little bit like Keith every once in a while, and I mispronounce things on purpose. And I mispronounced abominable snowman, and I said abominable snowman. And the person who I wasn't particularly very...
Snowman's jacked.
Yeah. The person in question proceeded to have the conversation that we were having while saying abominable snowman, completely dry, just completely flat-faced, and just he was going with it. And the moment he said it, I burst out laughing in his face, and I said, that's so funny. And then I realized it was actually serious, and he thought it was pronounced like that.
Because he just latched onto what you said and used you as like a source.
No, he already said things like that before. Oh. That was the thing. That's how he pronounced it.
Oh, he's having a moment.
Because then I I tried to clarify, and I just dug myself deeper and deeper instead of letting it go. Excuse me, I was saying it to be fun. Do you think it's pronounced like? Because it's not pronounced like. So it was super awkward and bad, and the rest of the vacation was actually
satire is actually.
Yeah. No, the satire is actually, that was good. I stand by that.
No, don't. You were misbehaving really bad that day.
I misbehave every once in a while. People don't know what we're talking about. Let's not bring that to the podcast.
Well, I already brought it up, so now it's too late, isn't it? Shouldn't we just explain it?
Yeah, so works? Keith was playing. Did you finish the game already?
Yeah, that was like a month or two ago, I think. I played a game on Dreams that was called Lock. That was just it's a very interesting and good puzzle game, and like well beyond anything you would expect to find in Dreams. And the creator of the game was in my comment section. He's also in my Discord and in my Patreon, and was already an audience member, I guess. And he's like in the comment section, like responding here and there to things, and sometimes people recognize that he's the developer, sometimes they don't, and so on. But Colonel's just having this like extended argument with him about his own game, about whether or not something is satire. And it's like, stop. You're gonna make him leave.
It was, yeah. I realized that it wasn't about whether something was satire. It was specifically about whether something was satire or parody, which I realize are two similar things, but they're not the same thing, and they specifically don't come from the same place in our hearts. Like, you don't satirize something that you like, you make a parody of something that you like, and vice versa.
Is that true?
Yeah, I realize, like, I know there are similar words, and I know, like, in day-to-day language we can say whatever, it's fine. You can satirize something that you like, it's fine. But in literary thing, it isn't. Like, that's not where it is. Parody is an exaggeration it's like a caricature in the sense that you're just trying to make it seem silly or just go beyond the scope of anything that's reasonable, and it's funny because of that. Whereas satire, it's funny because you're exposing the flaws of something. Like, you don't make satire without a point. You know what I mean? Like, your satire always has a meaning. It's not that you know. I was speaking on that I didn't know. Obviously, I didn't know it was the creator of the game when I made the comments. But I was speaking on the commenter on the creator of the game. Okay, I'll say it outright. I was speaking on the creator of the game because he said it was satire, and I was like, aha! Technically, it's not. It's whatever. So that happened. I still stand by it, though, because I was technically correct. I might have just I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have done it. It wasn't the first time I did something like that in Keith's comment section.
Technically correct. The best kind of correct. Oh.
You could say it was a calculated risk. My maths just suck. I like that one.
It sounds like real math. Yeah, I don't know. Comedy's weird. Comedy is sounds very general to say that, but yeah, like satire and trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Trying to sometimes to navigate through comedy can be a challenging task, especially with what we were talking about before, like a different language barrier. Trying to find out like what is when someone's being like you said, like being satirical, or if they're just being a parody. I feel like sometimes that could be a little bit harder to navigate through. Yeah. Depending on your like level of understanding of local language.
That too.
But yeah. I don't know.
That, it didn't help to me that I when I made that comment, I had only heard Keith's Let's Play reading the specific part that we were arguing about. So I made the comment sort of impromptu, and then I went back and listened to it again, and I tried really hard to be like, let's try to disprove my theory that this is parody and not satire. And as far as I understand things, I couldn't disprove that. I couldn't, because for me the distinction really comes from how free are you with satire in comparison to when you're just doing parody? Because satire, you can't really, you're not satirizing something if you go beyond the scope of what that something is. Like, imagine you pick a politician and you just have them say poo poo da da poo poo da da. That's not satire. That's a parody, but it isn't satire, right? That's a very simple thing to understand. But the reason why it isn't satire is because the politician doesn't say that. If the politician actually says something like that, or you're referencing something or something, then that is satire. Even though you're putting it in a situation where, you know, it's silly or out of it's not real, you know, because it's fiction. You're making fun of them. But you know what I mean? Like the freedom that you have with satire is a lot less than the freedom you have with parody. You can make parody of people you don't like and you disagree. It's totally fine. It's, you know, that's why I was saying, like, in the specific example, it was about somebody who was like a hunter and just, you know, I don't remember exactly the details, but it was somebody who was talking about wildlife in a very detached and dehumanized way, which
in just an increasingly false information way. Like, it was just the ramblings of somebody that doesn't actually know what they're talking about in an extended like nature documentary book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like this,
and it's just like it.
The worst thing about the white back gorilla is that slept with my wife or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, there was stuff like that. It's like, that's just parody. You're just making a situation with obviously a specific character that people can sort of understand easily if we just explain it like we just did. But you're not actually saying anything about wildlife hunters.
As far as I can tell, and I don't really know, and it's semantics and all that, but as far as I can tell, I guess the like thing that makes parody is that you parrot the the style of the thing, essentially. So you're kind of restricted to recreating the style of the thing you're parodying, and then like making jokes within that and exaggerating it and so on. But if you can't like break from the style, because that's not really a parody anymore. No,
that's satire. That's what satire. Yeah, parody can be anything. You can make a parody of anything with anything. That's at least my understanding. The satire is the one that you're limited in, I think. But I mean, feel free to disagree.
I think satire is more a representation of the reality that is itself a criticism of what the contents of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to say. I may not be explaining myself very well,
but I don't think satire has to like recreate the style.
No,
like Jojo Rabbit is a satire, not a parody. It's not Jojo like Rabbit. It doesn't like recreate like Triumph of the Will or whatever. Wait, not Triumph of the Will. It's Triumph. Which one's the KKK one and which one's the Nazis? Is it Triumph of the Will? Is that the Nazis?
Triumph of the Will is the Nazis one. Yeah.
Yeah, so like it's not recreating. It's not recreating Triumph of the Will, but funny or whatever. It's got Taika Waititi just dressed up as Hitler being a dumbass in a way that specifically satirizes several elements of fascism and Hitler himself and Nazism and so on. And it's like it's not recreating the style of anything related to the Nazis. It's just shitting on them. By literally being like, hey, I'm Hitler, look what a dumbass I am, but like, you know, with good writing. Because Jojo Rabbit was very good. So yeah, I don't think satire has to recreate the stylings of the thing that it's mocking, whereas I think parody specifically does. I also have a low opinion of most parody because that's what so much of YouTube is like, we're a parody, by which we mean we want to piggyback on, it's like Let's Plays with less honesty. Like, because obviously, like, Let's Plays are about, like, literally using somebody else's media and then commentating on it and so on. But so much of parodies are, like, it's increasingly lowbrow comedy where, in many cases, they're just sort of recreating the very thing that they're parodying. And they're just like, you like Pokemon? We'll make our own Pokemon animation and we'll call it a parody. And he'll go poopy, poopy, fart, fart and pull out a gun, maybe. And it's like, but really the goal is just to make anything Pokemon related to get some Pokemon views. And it's like really unentertaining to me. And usually very unsophisticated in its like its creation. It's the kind of thing where it's like if you were just making up a thing on the fly as a funny joke that you're saying in a commentary thing, then it's one thing, but to like put so much effort into something that has so little value makes me sad. It's like watching fucking it's like Pokemon parodies on YouTube are so frequently like the equivalent of like Nostalgia Critics The Wall, where it's like, wow, this video being like a skit or an animation or something took a surprising amount of effort, and
I see
it had nothing to offer. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird to have like high effort, low value content, but YouTube's like really, there's a weird amount of that, and it's a lot of trend chasing and so on.
Mm-hmm. Man, can you imagine making videos about things that you don't actually have anything to say, and knowing that you're gonna get millions of people watching? I would do that.
It's like the trap of like you're inspired enough to like care about a few things, and you get enthusiastic about those things, but then you like become the algorithm chasing content creator machine, where it's like, well, this is my job now. I now have to create things on a schedule, so let's become game theory. Is always one of my go-to examples, where it's like Game Theory back when he was on Game Trailers was a fairly amusing show, and it was clearly like coming from a place of love and this wacky thing, and it was like you couldn't take it seriously because it was intentionally stupid, and there was a lot of like literally self-defeating logic, like he would apply logic to worlds that literally can't have logic applied to them. So he'd be like counting the number of pixels high a Mario character is, and then comparing him to another character by counting how many pixels high he is in that game. But like those two different Mario games were not created in the idea that they'd be like consistent with each other in proportions and so on, so nothing makes sense. And like Mario actually runs at 57 kilometers per hour, and it was bullshit. It was stupid. But then it's like he broke me when fucking Suicide Squad came out, and he made like a 2-parter theory on his Film Theory channel that was like the video was just a hypothetical theory. Like, maybe hopefully next week I'll have something worth talking about. Let's find out. So the first video was just explaining a fan theory that already exists, that there are actually 3 different Jokers: the gangster one, the psychopath one, and the jokester one, because it's like the 3 different eras of the Joker in comics. And it's like, instead of being one character, what if they're canonically 3 different characters? And it's just like basically plagiarism. Like, he's just explaining an existing theory for an entire video and then padding it out to be like 10 minutes long, because that's what the videos have to be. And then it's like, sure, hope I have something to talk about next week. And it's like, then Suicide Squad came out and it was terrible, and he's like, well, I guess it was that one or whatever. And it's like, this was 20 minutes. Holy shit. I'm just like like, it was like the level of padding can be deeply frustrating. But like, there's like the algorithm chase. Like, you got to make the content every week. You gotta go. Like, even channels can be bad sometimes. Like Stephanie Sterling is like, they're good videos about good things, generally speaking, but also like sometimes she'll just repeat the same thing 10 times until the video's long enough. Like, literally just the same sentence over and over again. I'm like, this is a 3-minute video and it's like 15 minutes long. And then here's a weird little wacky thing in the middle of like a commercial rare. I saw. It's not.
No, the commercials.
It's not rare.
It's part of the show, though. It's like, it's that sort of.
No, but it's I'm amused by the silly things, but there's definitely, like, on a regular basis, I'm like, I literally click out of videos on a regular basis where I'm like,
it's kind of funny.
I get it. I get what you're saying, and you're saying it again, and I
watch a lot of.
I'm clicking the X now. Goodbye.
I watch a lot of videos. The vast majority of videos I watch, apart from cute animals, I watch on double speed, and the Jimquisition is one of the few that I watch on normal speed, and then I rewatch it after.
That's weird, gross.
Yeah,
it's
weird,
such a repetitive show.
Because it's good. It's really good. It's getting a lot better as well.
I think you just like the emotion. The righteousness.
Yeah, the emotion is very cathartic as well.
The lightning bolt from the heavens righteousness that is the emotional tone of the show, because the actual content of the show not only can it can be a little repetitive episode to episode in that it's the same topics repeating because the show's been on for so long, but like sometimes the single episode will just hit the same point again and again and again, and it's like, I don't know, I'm writing like I'm 8,000 words deep into a thing, and I'm self-conscious about which parts I repeat myself on. But I'm like, is it worth repeating just to reinforce that point or remind them now that of that thing I said earlier? Now that we're in a new section, but like those things, and I know because I've written one recently. Like, God, how long was my essay? Because I think my Zelda video is like about that long, of like the Jimquisition videos often are. So I know how long it likely was in word count. And so I can just think about like, it just repeats and repeat. I wouldn't be surprised. I wonder sometimes how scripted it is, or if it's just rambling.
Yeah, as far as I understand it, only the intros and outros are non-scripted. Like, at least that's what they say in the, specifically in the intros and outros when they mess up and all that. But like I think it's the tone is very different though. For one, it's a weekly show, so it's like.
Yeah, my Zelda video that's 13 minutes long was 2,330 words.
That's surprisingly few words for how long.
It all depends on how much you talk, or how fast you talk.
How fast you talk.
I was all grim in the Annihilation video, so it was 7,700 words for 50 something minutes.
I think what happens is that, like, for example, your videos, Keith, I watch them on normal speed, except on the rewatches. But I watch on the normal speed because I literally can't process all the thoughts. A double speed, it's too much. I can't do it. So I need to process it. Yeah, but that's exactly what happens. Like a lot of, especially news shows and things that I'm just already used to, and if people repeat themselves and all that, I can watch on double speed because I know what's coming, or I can realize what people are saying very fast, or because they take their time to think if it's not scripted. But like, especially on your videos, Keith, it stands with information.
What a fucking nightmare.
Well, like this podcast, I think podcasts are brilliant for double speed. Like we just stutter all so much and repeat ourselves and reinforce each other's points. Yeah, it's easy to go for double speed. I know you don't like double speed, but
have I repeated that they were repeating themselves enough times yet? Maybe I should repeat that again.
And I'm gonna repeat.
I caught the irony when I said it again. When I was like, hang on a minute.
Is it burlesque show? Is it what I'm thinking of?
That's a word. What are you thinking of?
Like the style of the Jimquisition with the cabaret style, and then the staff and the hat and all that. That's because it's a spectacle. And then there's the podium, and then there's the pogs.
I don't know the specifics of how the word would work necessarily.
I think burlesque is
outside of the context of being just an actual literal burlesque show on a stage or whatever, and even that I barely understand. But
I think burlesque is like with women and yeah. It's, I don't know. I guess we'd need to ask them.
The Jimquisition has definitely been increasingly intentional camp.
Yeah, that's why I think it's getting better. But also, like, the themes are.
Think of. Oh, go for it. Sorry,
the themes are getting harder and harder, like in the gaming industry, because it used to be that it was Steam Greenlight that was bad, and it was, and now it's freaking Activision, and
nothing that was bad has ever gotten better.
No, it's just that we didn't talk about them.
You can just rewind to like 5-10-year-old episodes, and none of them have been resolved.
Yes, I do that every once in a while.
Resolved in like almost the entire games industry, basically.
Yeah, Steam is just.
Well, no one has the time to fix it. They just have time to be upset about it.
It's not time though. Like, we can't fix it. It's just that they have no profit motive to fix it. Steam. The reason why Steam stopped the Greenlight system wasn't because they thought a lot of junk games were getting through the green light. Is because they weren't getting enough profit out of the system, so they just allow everyone in, and Steam, like, I realize that for a normal user, the experience is very different than when you compare it to somebody like me and like us who are looking for new games. But me trying to look for new RPGs that are coming up or have just been released is literally impossible on Steam. I cannot do that. If you look up by most recently released, it isn't the most recently released. It's algorithm driven. So it's games that everybody's covering already on YouTube. And if you go into the options,
it's you hit a thing where both the sorting options are a lie and the categories are a lie. So you're like,
oh, that too.
You're just like, that's just not an RPG, even by the broad definition that I'm normally mad about. Like, you'd be like,
exactly,
fucking this open world crafting game's an RPG, and I'm like, okay, come on, words even mean less than ever now. What the fuck?
Yeah. And then the thing is,
or
like, if you don't let the algorithm tell you what the latest are, and if you actually go by latest, then you're going to go pages and pages until you find a game that costs... This is latest release, and you're going to go pages and pages until you find a game that costs more than €5. Because it's all junk. It's all, like...
Lots of use of
garbage.
chiller font.
Chiller font?
Nothing is more damning than unironically using chiller font as your logo for a video game that you supposedly cared about making. It's just such baseline embarrassing. This is the creepy font for my horror game. It looks like blood. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
I remember when I used my word processor for the first time when I was 7. I found Chiller and Joker Man and Papyrus.
Papyrus is still a good font.
It's
Where'd
not
Joker
even like
Man
the
go?
best.
That never comes up anymore. Is it gone?
No,
it's not even. It's not even like the best horror font either, which is the most upsetting. Like you can get better free horror font.
Yeah, but that's the one that's built in. That's how low the effort is.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Is like you're not even taking the effort to go find a good.
They couldn't check out DA font or something.
Go to like Blambot. Like Blambot has so many fonts, and a lot of them are free, and they're all amazing. Like,
yeah,
damn.
I mean, my most used fonts besides Impact for dealing with like titles or subtitles or whatever are I think it's called Optimus Princeps, which is like it's the Dark Souls fan font, and then Coverwatch, which is just Overwatch.
I just I stick with web development fonts. And the ones that everybody uses for slogans and
I'm in graphic design. I don't need standardization.
They're good though. I over the years
text is not selectable.
Over the years I've definitely grown my taste, or developed my taste, I suppose, in what fonts I like and where I like them and all that. And I've been doing sort of on my free time. I've been doing a portfolio website for a friend. We know each other very well, but we never talk about fonts because that's not what people talk about. And then I just I made him a mock-up with all the fonts and other things, and where we talked about and where he wanted and all that. And I used like modern fonts, sans serif stuff, where for the most part for legibility, and then just different widths or weights is the correct term for different parts of for different parts of the website and all that. It's just all very modern stuff, like everybody does. I'm not an amazing web designer, but I know the trends and I know how people do it, and I also do it for a living, so I know what I'm doing. But he hasn't had to think about this sort of stuff since 1998, and then he tells me that he wants to use Century Gothic for the text, and then he wants to use Gothic Bank BT, I think is what it's called, for the titles, which is just like, yes, I used that in high school. Why would you? And then I did, and then he liked it. So what can I do? What can a friend do, right?
Sometimes you just have to pick your battles.
Yeah. At least he had the vaccine, so that was a good thing.
These are comparable things.
Well, yeah.
I'm trying to think of like going back to videos on YouTube. I'm trying to think of the stuff that I watched.
Destroy Earth was the font you started the channel with.
Yeah. The fonts I usually use are I can't even remember off the top of my head what fonts I'm using by default, but the I just have so many. I have like I think I have like over 2,000 fonts installed on my computer. I basically just like went and grabbed every single free font that exists in the world and just like put them into my machine.
Is a great source.
Yeah, like I have like I said, I got a Blambot. I went to I've been a Font Squirrel. I remember I bought like some of the few fonts that I bought was I bought Chevy Ray's Pixel fonts, which is like a pretty good pack of pixelated fonts, which are good for like games or making like very specific looking text font that looks digital. Better than the shitty like pre-installed I forget what they call it, what that font is. But there's one that looks more
monospace
like
something or other.
Yeah, like the terminal looking font. And it looks awful. I hate it.
It's terrible.
Yeah, but this one's better. It's I just have like I don't know, fonts are having a lot of fonts, it never hurts you, especially when you're making stuff, because like you find a use for a lot of fonts. You can find that and like especially when I make thumbnails, I try to use a lot of masking. So like what is it? Like my Spyro videos, I put dragon skin over the text so that way it looks like the Spyro logo. So what I'm saying, like part 1, it looks like it's just the same Spyro font. But like the more fonts you have, the easier you can match that kind of stuff. Or like when I try to make a meme, like it's easier to to copy someone's dialogue because I pretty much have all of those fonts that someone has access to. So you can see like subtitle fonts and you can go, oh, I know exactly what fonts those are. I have those fonts and I can grab those fonts and make fake subtitles. And it's kind of like, it's crazy. You can really, like you can create a lot of fake, believable media. The more stuff you have access to, like the more like fonts.
I'm just thinking about the best characters ever video where I had to like make fake dialogue for Death from Symphony of the Night, and I had to like edit fake screenshots that I could then animate to reveal the dialogue of all the fake shit I was gonna make him say. It's like it's a project, but it's fun to sort of like impersonate the game.
And that's like having and it's important to have.
This
like,
is why you should never trust screenshots of a tweet.
Or anything.
No. There are literal websites that exist to make fake tweets. They fill in all the blanks.
You can also basically,
like,
I think you can just go into, I think you can even just look, you just look at it. You could look at a tweet of somebody on the page, open the code of the page and just change the text. Like anyone can do that without any outside influence.
Unless you're using Internet Explorer, in which case,
and then of course, there's like websites that fake authentic looking tweets, and you could just Photoshop it in 2 seconds. There's like 100 reasons why a picture of a tweet's probably not real.
Yeah, if someone sends you a JPEG of a tweet and not the tweet itself, it's generally because it's not a real tweet.
When it's presented in public, and like for example, imagine a public figure shows a photo, not a Photoshop, but like a screenshot of something. If it's faked, it can absolutely like it's just as bad as faking a document, because you can be sued for slander, or actually it would be libel for
the thing is that the source is often like someone that seems like basically a rando.
If it's a rando, it could be.
So like people are like less likely to go after that person. But also the tweet correcting them and saying that it's fake or whatever will get buried by all of the aghast reactions to the drama and so on. And it's like Twitter's the worst website for many reasons, and that's one of them.
Oh yeah. Even earlier today, I saw a screenshot of somebody having the worst take, and I just typed the Twitter handle, and the account didn't exist and never existed, and it was just there. So it's just like, what, you're coming up with bad takes to get likes? Yes, that's why it had like 150,000 likes. And it was a bad take. I didn't like the take.
I do remember that there's like that tweet compilation that was all the people that were supposedly sending death threats to J.K. Rowling for being a TERF. And when I started looking at the usernames of every single one of them, and a huge number of the accounts didn't exist. So like either they were like weirdly disproportionately not popular. Like either they're weirdly disproportionately like accounts that deleted themselves in the last year or something, or they were just fabricated tweets entirely. But also like a noticeable like sleight of hand where it's like the second or third image of the compilation was a bunch of blue checkmark people, and all of their feedback basically amounted to like, shut up, stop talking, please stop, why are you like this, basically. But because some randos were doing death threats and the person made a compilation where they opened up with all the images that were like, hey, wow, great idea, maybe J.K. Rowling should fucking die or whatever, followed by a bunch of blue check marks being way more moderate and just being like, please stop. It creates the false correlation that the blue checkmark people that actually have platforms to be worried about were the ones saying death threats, and like that's the it's just propaganda. I'm like, oh cool, I'm just watching someone create propaganda on this website. Isn't this great? So they go.
Yeah there's just I don't expect I don't expect all of those situations. What you know, it doesn't, if whatever kind of pile up on anybody, I don't expect all of it to be fabricated, but the level to which it is representative of any one community needs to always be questioned. Because it's just like so easy. It happens so often. My Twiddle circle. I keep saying twiddle. Twiddle. My Twiddle circles are tiny, and I every once in a while I will find accounts with a single tweet, and it's just that tweet, you know, and I see it every, like once a month. I will see that, and it's all cats and nice things in my Twitter. It's just like I don't know. It's a tool, and you know, social media is a tool, and people will use it for nefarious ends. And
but the greatest tools are all the people on it.
Oh boy, I like it for cats and cat girls.
It really is a much better website if you just follow a bunch of artists and stuff.
Yeah,
and you just try to fill your timeline as much as possible with not people's takes.
But the problem is, if the artists are good, then they get exposed to bad people, and then they complain about the bad people.
Yeah.
And then you need to, okay, this is bad. I will like this complaining post and say I'm sorry or something. Because that's the dynamic. I mean, right? That's what you do. If somebody that you know. I don't know. And then everybody on tabletop role-playing game Twitch, everybody's like super famous. And so, like, you're immediately exposed to a bunch of other people's. Like, if you follow Dimension 20 or Roll for It or whatever, or Roll 20, all of them are super famous people. Well, not super famous. They have enormous fan bases. So it's very difficult to Twitter. It's weird. I don't think that happens in Facebook, does it? Because the following is just not as involved. Following on Facebook, I mean, this is just not as involved as on Twitter. Or is that my perception?
Both of them and YouTube increasingly just want to show you a bunch of stuff that you're not even following, just because it either thinks you might like it, or more importantly, thinks you might get a reaction out of you.
Yeah.
Like when I open Twitter, and increasingly it's like it doesn't even come up with the pretense that like X person that you follows them, or somebody liked it or retweeted it, but just it starts just showing you random drama basically, and I'm like, I don't.
It doesn't
know who
say
this
promoted?
person is.
It doesn't say promoted.
No,
it's not promoted. It's like tweets you might like or whatever, and it'll be like some big righteous tweet about this or that, or like a big drama thing, and I'm like. It won't even be like this person liked this or anything to like even like come up with an excuse for it.
Sometimes Twitter will show that to me, and I'll be like, "Oh, that's nice," and then I will go to like, and it says, "You might like this or follow the topic or something," and I'm like, "No follow, unfollow, block, all the things, none of this."
I hate how everything wants you to follow topics now.
Yeah.
Would you like this?
No,
would you like just the general concept? I'm like, what? One.
What do you mean video games?
Yeah. Would you like to follow all video games? Yeah. Yes, that's what nerds are known for, as being unspecialized.
Yes.
Yes, I would like all video games, please. That's
and
what I'm a fan of.
It's
also all
like,
wrong.
Yeah. Because they ask you if it's in video games, and it's usually something tangential.
Yeah, and like just today, I liked a tweet. Yeah, I liked a Happy Roadkill tweet that is a comic about a mouse has therapy. He's in a therapy session, and it's just about how bad it is to be like going to therapy sessions in like 2020 and the existential crisis of not having a future and it being out of your control, and then like it's like, well, it's important to focus on how like these things are like outside of your control. And it's like, well, that just makes me feel even more helpless and all that other stuff. And like above this tweet, the category anime. And I'm like, there's like 10 topics I can think of, and none of them are that you could possibly call this comic that I'm seeing. What the fuck? Also, why do you have to show? Why does it feel the need to show me a genre for the tweet or whatever? It's from an artist I'm following. Like, you don't need to sell it to me. Just show the fucking tweet like normal, you weirdo. But they're always experimenting with how to present stuff from even the people you follow to try to make it feel more important or something. Like what is it? It'll be like, here's a thing, but it's like it'll specifically be like, this Shannon Strucci tweet, it was liked by Sarah Z, and it's like, you can just show me the Shannon Strucci tweet. I follow her. Like, you don't need to be like, this other person you follow liked the tweet, and I'm like, just show the fucking tweet. What? Just show the tweet.
Yeah.
What is this additional packaging? What's the point of this?
You might know why, but you asked why do they do this?
I know why they do it. I'm just annoyed that they do it, because it's like, it's just a person I follow already. Stop trying to sell it to me. No.
The categorization into like anime or whatever.
Yeah.
You probably know, but it's like the in-group mentality. The cultivation of any in-group mentality in any profit-driven enterprise is very, very profitable. If your users associate, whatever product you sell, if your users associate owning that product or using that product as part of their identity, then you have a much stronger hold on their habits, on their buying habits specifically. And on their future purchasing decisions. So saying that you're a gamer, or saying that you like anime, and or saying that you like this artist, those are very different things. Because on the one side, when you say you're a gamer or like anime, you're already identifying as a sort of non-thinking member of a bigger community that is focused on the consumption of a certain thing, whereas if you say that you are a fan of a specific artist, that's a personal relationship. That's different. And it's not monetizable in any way by anybody else. And so that's why for Twitter, as an advertising company, which at the end of the day may not be the best advertising company, but it is, for Twitter, what they want is that for everybody on their website to have that mentality where they associate with a group rather than with a person, a personal relationship with whatever. It can be even a personal relationship with a company. It's still not as profitable as a group think, because it's night and day. And once you notice that in advertisement, and it happens a lot in advertisement, and it's just I try to avoid advertisement as much as possible, but you pay attention to it, and you'll see companies. All advertisement is focused on this, on trying to make it part of your identity. The fact that you eat at McDonald's, or you're a Coke person instead of a Pepsi person, or you're it's like part of your identity being the consumption of their product is so important, and it's so insidious as well. It's really, really bad. But for advertising corporations, it's the groups that matter. That's why Twitter does anime for this comic strip.
You need categories that have totals in them.
Yeah.
So we can market to those demographics. Well, we're 2 hours in. We got through 2 questions. We did it.
Congratulations.
My food has arrived, so I'm probably gonna go, and we probably should all go because Andrew should also probably go to get ready for the stream and all that. But
Yay.
oh god, we didn't even answer 2 questions. I never answered the question actually.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah, I mean, what you guys said was also true and so on, but definitely an element for me with Let's Plays being tough is the crushing, it's that crushing imposter syndrome. Like, I definitely have, because you just go, you just do. Like, this is this too, like the podcast. Like, it's not scripted. You don't like sit here and carefully like plan what you're writing and then proofread it and then be like, oh, does this have enough jokes in it or whatever, and like try to find like the right balance and pacing or craft or whatever. It's not like when you make a vase or whatever and you're like, it's shaped correctly and all this, and I can like look at it all these ways and so on. It's like not a pre-planned thing. It's just, you just go and you just do, and it's this weird amalgam of simultaneous like trying to play the game and trying to talk and trying to make both those be whatever flavor is the good thing that makes you worthy of being watched or whatever the fuck is happening. And so like there's definitely like this dread of this idea in particular that like you'll just get like the yips. Which, like, for those people that don't know, the yips are like a baseball thing where people just like essentially, it's almost like they're too in their own head, or something goes wrong physiologically or like or physically or mentally or what, where like they just like, it's like they forget how to pitch. Like they just forget how to pitch the ball. Like they just can't do it anymore. And like they're throwing wide, and it's like, but it's like, it's the one thing they've put their entire career has come down to them doing this one really specific action really well in a high pressure situation. And like it just collapses onto itself, and it ends people's careers where they just forget how to like pitch essentially. And there's like this idea that like, what if one day I just don't really know how to commentate anymore, or like suddenly everyone doesn't like it, and like that'd be completely outside of my control because there's no like, I don't know how I got what I have in the first place. It just happened, and like I don't know how I'm doing it right exactly. And it's like we talk about like personalities and how like when I gave pushback on the idea, like we all have personalities, yeah, but we're not necessarily able to define our own personality accurately to other people. Like, I don't think any Let's Player has a perfect beat on why their stuff is liked by anyone in the first place. And one is because it's a billion different people having different perspectives on your stuff in the first place.
Well, not a billion different people.
Yeah, but then it's also
Can't
this
all
thing
have
of like
100,000 subscribers like somebody.
Yeah. But from inside, you have like no way of really diagnosing, and just like how you can't know yourself that well, that objectively, you also can't know why your commentary is working. And so it feels like this fucking dance that you can just trip at one day and not be able to start again. And it's like, that's a weird anxiety. That's not a fun thought. And that just sort of will like strike at 11:30 some nights and be like, hey, would you like to not sleep for the next 2 hours and just kind of drown in this dread for a while? So that's a fun part.
I am
my sweet and sour fish fillet is here, and I'm gonna go eat that now.
I have so little self-awareness. I don't have that anxiety.
Oh, I'm always I am nothing if not perpetually judging myself all the time about everything. And then people say the thing that I think, and I'm like, no. Now it's real.
Oh no.
It'll only be this will only be made better by me appearing on camera in future videos. Now all of my physical insecurities can be repeated by the comments until I just collapse into myself.
That's entertainment.
Send your questions to dialogchoicepodcast@gmail.com. See you guys next week. Bye-bye. Hope you hated it. Also, every time I say that, I'm just stealing it from Hot Diggity Demon because I have no original thoughts.
Enjoy the fish.
Yay!
So long, and thanks for all the fish that you technically paid for.
Technically? That's how paying works.
Well, I paid for the fish, but they technically paid for the fish because they're my source of income in both advertising and Patreon. Unless they're your viewer watching it on your channel, in which case they have contributed nothing to me.
They never comment. I get zero comments on this.
You got 2 comments on the last one. I checked.
Oh, I did. That's right. You're right.
Yeah, I look at your comment section every now and then because it's technically the same comment section for the same show.
I also look at yours
in a way. Yeah. But no, it's very rare. You have very little interaction on this podcast, so we don't know what they're thinking. It could be anything.
They're judging us. But mostly me.
Colonel viewer, comment now. Do it.
Wait,
I want
they're
10
still
comments
listening?
at least right now. Yeah, we're
they
not
didn't
over
tell
yet.
me
No, the podcast didn't end until just now.